Hello, grade 9s. Welcome to lesson 9 of chapter 5. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about exploring rates. So before we actually get into that too much, we need to talk about what rates are. Okay, so a rate is when you're comparing two different things. Okay, so some examples of rates is when you're traveling in a car, you're going by kilometers per hour. So we're talking about distance and we're talking about time. Those are two completely different units of measure. Okay, if you work a job, you're getting paid in dollars per hour. So we're talking about two completely different units. Okay, this is where you're going to have rates. Okay, so we're going to go through some examples together and just kind of how to work with them. So the first one, and feel free to pause these at any point. Oh, one thing that's important to understand is that when we're talking about rates, we're always talking about per one unit. Okay, so we're never going to say in your job you make so many dollars per 5 hours. Okay, so the second term is always in relation to 1. Okay, when the number is referring to the first term. Okay, so when we're talking about driving, it's how many kilometers in 1 hour. Okay, so the first term is always the number that we're referring to, and the second term is always in a single unit rate. Okay, so the second term is always in a single unit rate. So let's talk about this. So let's say we have a printer that's able to print out 40 pages per minute. Okay, 40 pages per minute. So my first question is, how long will it take to print out 1,000 pages? Okay, so there's a couple ways that we can actually look at this. Okay, the one way is we can actually kind of write it out. So if I do it as a kind of an input-output chart, I could have my pages here, and then I could have my time in minutes here. So in 1 minute, it's going to give me 40 pages. Okay. What if I was to say, what about 5 minutes? How long would 5 minutes take? Well, I had to multiply this by 5. So that means I have to multiply 40 by 5, and that's going to give me 200. Well, 200 is a nice, easy number to work with. Okay, so let's keep going. What if I double that? Well, I'll have 400. That'll be 10 minutes. What if I add it again? I'll have 600. It will take me 15 minutes. Okay, what about another 5 minutes? That'll give me 800 pages in 20 minutes, and then finally I'll get to 1,000 pages in 25 minutes. So this is kind of the first way to do it. The second way is we can use our wonderful power of 3 method that we've been using. So when I'm comparing it, I can take this rate, turn it into a ratio or a fraction. So I'm basically saying 40 pages over 1. Okay, because keep in mind, the minutes is compared to 1. And then I'm looking for 1,000 pages. Okay, the pages are still pages, and then I can use my cross multiply and divide. So 1 times 1,000 is 1,000 divided by 40 gives me 25. Okay, so it'll take me 25 minutes to be able to print 1,000. Okay, now what if I want to figure out how long it would take to print or how many pages I could print in 1 hour. Okay, well, there's a couple things that I need to know. Number one, I need to know how many minutes are actually in an hour, because this is for 1 minute. Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to 1 to 1, I'm going a 1 to 60. Okay, so if I'm doing similar to the previous example, I could do my chart, or I could set it up once again as a cross multiply and divide. Okay, so that'll give me something to 60. Okay, so how many pages will I be able to print? Well, this is going to give me, I'm going to go 60 times 40 is 2,400, divided by 1 is 2,400. Okay, so in 60 minutes, I'd be able to print 2,400 pages. All right, so that's kind of our first example. Our second example is when we're going to manipulate things a little bit more. So the average person can walk at a speed of 5 kilometers per hour. Okay, 5 kilometers per hour. what if I want to know how long or how fast I can go in meters per second? Okay, how many meters can someone walk every second? Okay, that's my first question. So let's turn that off. Getting lots of glare. So a couple things that we need to understand. First of all, how many meters are in a kilometer? Okay, how many meters are in a kilometer? So if I've got 5 kilometers, that is essentially 5,000 meters. Okay, so I'm saying it was 5 over 1. So 5 kilometers for every hour. Okay, now I need to change my kilometers into meters. Okay, so this is the same as saying 5,000 meters are in, so you're basically going 5,000 meters per hour. Okay, so 5,000 meters in 1 hour. Okay, so I'm changing it from kilometers to meters. Now I need to change my hours to seconds. So how many, in 1 hour, how many seconds do we have? Okay, in 1 hour, how many seconds do we have? So that's something that we have to actually try to calculate. So right now I've got 500. In one, let's break it down. In 1 minute, I have 60 seconds. And in 1 hour, I have 60 minutes. So 60 times 60 is going to be 3,600. Okay. So this is actually where I'm going to be able to get my my actual speed. Okay. So I'm going to go 5,000 divided by 3,600, and that's going to give me a speed of 1.38 repeating meters per second, which I could say about 1.4 meters per second. So if you're walking at 5 kilometers an hour, you're actually covering every second 1.4 meters. Okay, you're covering 1.4 meters. All right. The next one. Okay, here's another example that we can go over. But this time we're going to go in the opposite direction. So we're going to start with meters per second. Okay, so let's say a squirrel in 1 second. Okay, so we're talking about meters per second again. In 1 second, so that's our second term, a squirrel can run about 5 meters. Okay, which is pretty quick. Okay, so what's the speed in kilometers per hour? Okay, so basically how fast is a squirrel? So we need to go the other direction now. Let's increase and see how many meters they'll go in a minute. Okay, so what do we have to do? Well, to find out how many meters in a minute, we have to multiply this by 60. Okay, we have to multiply this by 60. Okay, so 5 times 60 is going to be 300 meters per minute. Okay, and then if I want to get to hours, I'm going to have to multiply this by 60 again. Okay, to go from minutes to hours. So I'm going, because there's 60 minutes in every hour. So I multiply this by 60, so I'm increasing that amount. So that's going to give me 18,000 meters per hour. Okay, so we're saying that a squirrel is going to go 18,000 meters per hour. Okay, but I'm not looking for meters per hour, I'm looking for kilometers per hour. So what do I have to do to go from meters to kilometers? Well, I know that I have 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So that means I have to divide this by 1,000. Okay, or I'm moving my decimal 1, 2, 3 places. So we can determine that the squirrel can travel at 18 kilometers per hour, which once again is also very, very fast. So these are a bunch of examples that we can actually use where we're actually kind of manipulating the rate at which something is happening. So if you guys have any questions, bring those questions to the Zoom or contact me in Hangouts. All right, good luck.